Hi there, it's Brooke. Today I want to work on something that is a little bit more activewear themed. I usually make a bunch of dresses, some knitting projects, but today we're going to focus primarily on making something for yoga. So I like compression wear tops, and so that's what I want to try to make today. But obviously I want to make it my own and make it a little bit more whimsical. So let's see what we can do. So as far as materials, I have this very thick white lycra. This is a two-way stretch lycra. It has a lot of stretch on the warp, not so much on the weft. Primarily you want the largest amount of stretch to be side to side so that you can put it on and take it off. Up and down it doesn't need to be as stretchy, but it's always nicer to have that little bit of flexibility. I've seen this picture on Pinterest. I love the look of this sports bra that this designer has made. Aside from having my own fabric printed, I wanted to see how I could replicate that in my own way, making my own design. So for the design process, I just wanted to have it very whimsical. I wanted to have a lot of flowers, and then because it is of my own making and I can make it however I want, I wanted to add in a little touches here and there for more my personal enjoyment. So I wanted to add in a little turtle friend, and obviously it's a yoga top, so I have to like a little pay tribute to that, so I did my little meditating gnome. So after I came up with my sketch on what I wanted to do, I decided that there were two ways that I could go around with doing this. Number one would be to draw it out. I have a set of alcohol markers that I've used in the past, and for minimal washing garments, they've worked out fine. But as an activewear top, I figured that it probably needed to be something that I could just throw in the wash and forget about it. And I wasn't completely sure if I could do that with the alcohol markers, so I had to do a few tests. So the conclusion being that as soon as it was thrown into the wash, it bled, unfortunately. And that kind of left me to only a few other options. I tried a regular fine tip Sharpie marker, but it had the same result, it bled. I came to the point of just giving in and doing the entire thing by hand with embroidery floss. Be prepared, this is a long journey. I was a little upset that I couldn't do it with just drawing, because I could draw what I wanted onto the fabric like super fast. I can't do that with embroidery. It takes a lot of time, and that's kind of where I had to go. I bought this tear and wash paper. It is a lightweight stabilizer for embroidery. Basically, you can put this on top of fabric, stitch across it, and then once you're all done, you can tear it away and wash away any of the little last bits. I will tell you right now that I did have a little bit of a problem with this, but we'll get to that at the end. So I started by drawing on all of my designs onto this tearaway paper, and that was the easy part. I traced the pattern of the top that I was going to do the embroidery on, so I knew the layout of which I wanted. It was very easy to place the flow of the flowers and how I wanted everything to lay out. And once I had that figured out, then I went in with some fine tip Sharpie markers to kind of line out the exact places on which I'm going to embroider. I did it in a few colors, and that's because I wanted to make sure that each of the embroidery pieces would be able to stretch. The main idea for this embroidery going onto a stretch fabric is that it needs to stretch onto my body. And in order for that to happen, I needed to have the embroidery little patches stabilized by themselves so that they can move while having gaps of free fabric to kind of stretch. Once I finished mapping out everything, I then was able to place it on top of my pattern pieces and whip stitch it to keep everything from moving. I will tell you that it is going to be a lot easier if you do this before you cut out your pattern pieces. So that way when you put it into the embroidery hoop, it has a more stable connection rather than working around the different curves of the pattern pieces of the top. Just a little hindsight from me to you. So once the paper was onto the fabric, I was able to go right into embroidery. And now this, my friends, is where it took me a very long time. I fully underestimated how long this project was going to take, and so I basically had to work on this whenever I could. I took my breaks at work, I brought this with me, I was embroidering in the cafeteria. I took this on road trips, I took this anywhere I could go just to have this at hand so that I could do as much as I could as fast as possible. Granted, it did take a long time, but I really enjoyed the process of this. There's something about just following the lines that I created with the paper that was so therapeutic. now comes the best part. Once I was completely done with all of the embroidery on the front and back, I was able to tear away all the paper. The unfortunate thing is that because of the amount of stitching that I had, it got kind of trapped in in a few of the places that were heavily embroidered. But I got it done. We have finally finished the embroidery. So the next step after all of that was done was to finally put the pieces together. I made two separate tops. One was the heavily embroidered shell, and the other was the liner. Initially, I was going to go with a little bit of a thinner fabric for the liner, but because I don't want to wear this with a sports bra, I wanted to make it as thick and opaque, not see-through, as possible. So I just decided to do the same fabric, this very heavy, dense lycra, doubled. The part that can be a little bit tricky when attaching the two pieces for a seamless look, making sure that you do it right. Every time I try to do this technique, I have to rewatch a video. I can't pronounce the name. This YouTube account has the greatest instructional videos that I love to watch. I always look for this specific video when I'm going to do this technique. In its basic form, you're going to sew the front two pieces together by the neck, right sides together. So once you sew around the fronts, you can also do the same to the backs. Right sides together, sew around the neckline. Once that is done, then you can put the two pieces together, right sides together, making sure that you match up the shell and the liner pieces together, and then you sew across the shoulders, completing the full circular neck. Now, here's where I always get messed up. You have to lay out one of the shoulder seams and roll up all of the other fabric to then enclose inside of the strap. Then you are going to sew around the armhole seam. Once you have that sewn up, you can then pull it inside out, and the entire thing should unfurl into a beautiful, fully lined shoulder. So now you have to do the same to the other side. Voila! The last part that you have to do is just sewing up the side seams. I just take my front side and my back side, good sides together. While I'm doing this, I am double checking that everything is laying out and is not twisted. So once the sides were done, I tried it on, pulled the liner a little bit longer than the shell so that none of the liner would show around the neck and armholes. I went around with my serger and did a single turned hem. Technically, this project is not finished as of me filming this outro right now. This project will be finished once I go to the store and buy another double pointed needle so that I can finish around the neck and the armholes. But until then, I can show you the finished product. I am so happy with it. This thing has taken me forever. The detail of this project is just something that I did not know that I could accomplish. And I'm still picking off little bits. So you can just see there's like a tiny little fibers stuck into here. That's what I had to do for this entire project. A labor of love. So as you can see on this side, this is the double stitching. The back side, it just looks like a regular zigzag stitch, but on the front side, you have two lines of straight stitch. Super stretchy, and just really gives off a nice finish to these activewear pieces. I am just so pleased with how this one turned out. I did not think that it was going to be this nice. Here, I'm gonna try it on right now. It's so nice. This one just makes me so happy. I love how this one turned out. I can't tell you how proud I am of this thing. It is so beautiful. I am going to have so much fun wearing this. I think that it fits perfectly. My fear was that the straps were gonna fall off, but I just kept adjusting them and pinching them in more. Perfect. I hope you liked this project and this video. Leave me some love in the comments and let me know what you thought of it. Let me know of other embroidery projects you'd like to see. I had a lot of fun making this, but I do need a rest as of right now. My hands are a little sore. If you saw my last video, you know that I'm on an August breakdown of all of the works in progress that I have waiting at the side for me. And so now that this one is finished, I can get to work on those other ones. So check out that last video to see what other projects I have and what ones that you should be expecting in the future. Until next time, I hope to finish some more of them, and I'll see you soon. Bye. My bodybuilder pose. While I'm wearing like a turtle and like a gnome. I just love this one.